Hey, what's up everybody? So I'm going to be exporting this video to YouTube, so hello to everyone on YouTube, glad to be back. And then also streaming this on Twitch. I tried to do this offline and upload to YouTube, and I had major technical difficulties, so I'm just doing the dual Twitch-YouTube life for now. So this will probably be my final run of the Yellow Mew challenge. For those who don't know what that is, it's a bit of a different type of speedrun where you beat the game at 400% speed, as you can see. So game times are like 30 to 35 minutes instead of 2 hours, using a custom starter, in this case Mew, and then some custom rules. So the main rule is you're not allowed to use items in battle, so no X-accuracy horn drill, no full restore to get out of a pinch. So I had to approach the routing a bit differently than I did for other speedruns. This is part of the Scott's Thoughts challenge that he does every once in a while with custom starters, where his community competes to see who can get the fastest time at 400% speed with a particular custom starter. So Scott has a bunch of YouTube content like this, but he's got the fancy layout that unfortunately does not work for my computer because it just causes a crash anytime I'm recording. So we're going to go with the old school speedrunning layout. We've got my splits from my previous PB, and then we've got the game feed. I've already completed this run that I'm going to show. If I tried to do another live run, it would crash, so we're just going to play the replay, and then I will go over the strategies that I use. For those people who are watching from Scott's community, might want to know a bit of background info. So first, this run was terrible, as speedrunners like to say. Lots of bad mistakes, but I'm happy with the route that I created, and I think this time it's a product of the route more so than my execution on the run. And so if you're feeling the same way about your runs, like, man, I keep making tons of mistakes, it's so frustrating, don't despair. You can always just go back to the lab and try to improve something about your route. Take notes from speedrunners, whatever. And that's what I've done throughout my career, so I don't have to grind attempts, because I don't like grinding attempts. Alright, so I'm going to load this replay file, and I'm going to go over all of the major and some of the minor changes in my run compared to what I've seen from others in Scott's Discord. A lot of good strategy talks, but I think some stuff got missed, so hopefully this can be an educational video for that. Okay, I'll load replay of our run and start our live split timer. There we go. So I've got splits up from my previous PB. I was not happy with that run, so I didn't submit it, but I am aware that the fastest time in the community was 32:28 as of recording this, and I don't know anyone who's holding on to a time secretly, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone else got a 31. It's very possible. It's possible to get a 31 with very poor gameplay, so a 30 is definitely possible. Okay, so just going over my route, we've got Mew. It's always got perfect stats. We don't get early encounters, so the game is simplified to a degree, but it gets tougher later when you're not allowed to use items in battle. And there's also one very difficult fight at the beginning of the run against Brock that we'll talk a bit about here. I'm doing pretty well, thank you for asking. Again, I'm doing the dual Twitch live stream along with the YouTube export here. So for folks on in the Twitch chat, I can talk more later, but I do want to go over the strategies of this run for the YouTube folks now. So some people are trying to do Brock at level 10, I noticed. Not because they think it's good. I think we all understand how terrible it is to do Brock at any level lower than 12 because of the Geodude damage ranges, but some people have been going for 31s, or just, really low times where they're willing to grind the early game for the luck required to get it. And I don't really think, no matter how low you're going, I don't think you're doing Brock at level 10, because it's not that slow to train in the forest, and it is pretty slow to take the extra turns on Geodude and then have to transform immediately on Onix and get bind, speed tie loss, things like that. It's pretty consistently about 4 minutes to beat Brock if you train to 12 for Geodude and 13 for Onix, which I do by fighting the first bug catcher, second bug catcher, and then the minion in Brock's gym. If you are catching Pidgey in the early game, then you can do the third bug catcher, skip this guy and fight the guy with 2 Pokemon instead of 3, and then kill a wild Pidgey in addition to catching it. But that's about the same speed, because this fight with the crits that you often get at Mew's 20% crit rate is reasonably fast. So I pretty consistently get around a 402 Brock, sometimes as low as 352, sometimes as high as 411. I'd say I beat Brock about 60% of the time. Still a painful fight, but much better than trying to do Brock at level 10. And then the transform strategy on Onix is tough because you have to react fast, and I'm not great at that. But generally you want to transform when Mew is about to die, because it's slower to win with transform than it is to win with pound, but if Mew just tries to pound, it'll eventually lose to either bide or just screech plus tackle or bind damage on most runs. So entering Brock is actually a pretty good time to enter Brock. It's like 312, 313, because we had such a good forest. But then Geodude is a disaster here, and this is where I started to like lose focus tilts and make a big mistake coming up. We Gen 1 missed on Geodude, and he crit me twice, or like once, and then he got a high roll. So we're at the lowest HP I've ever been at entering Onix. And he starts out with Bide and Tackle and Bind, so it's not looking good, but I still try to get some extra damage because I hate transforming into Onix when he's in green HP, because then I run out of binds and it takes multiple screeches before Tackle does more damage, and then he can just speed tie, win, bind you. And when he uses bind against you, it's like a lot slower animation when you use it against him, for weird Gen 1 mechanics reasons. Anyway, the big mistake there was using Screech when Onix was one tackle from death. I thought Bind wasn't going to get the job done because I missed one early, and I was fully prepared to go Screech, Tackle, Tackle to win. I just didn't look at his HP, so we split late, but it's not a great Brock split. It's hard to split on time. So yeah, we risked an unnecessary like 40% death, because I didn't expect to be in that position, but Brock is just all over the place, and we just decided to keep going. Now, the big route change, as I mentioned before, some people will catch Pidgey and kill a Pidgey for experience. I do not opt to catch Pidgey at all. You're able to turn off encounters anywhere you want in the early game. So I turn off encounters in the forest, and then I turn on Doduo encounters later. So the flyer that I catch will be Doduo. This allows me to skip the slow trip to Viridian Mart to buy Pokeballs. And then I also go for a risky route here, skipping the Pewter Mart, where I would normally buy potions and antidotes. So that means if I get poisoned on this route, I have to reset, because it's too slow to go back in center. Usually you don't have to potion, because Mew just has so much bulk, but there is a situation later where you can be in red bar and very likely to die to a quick attack, and you would just like to potion and then get back into red bar from quick attacks. And I won't have that option. But usually it works out. You're not likely to get poisoned, and you're not likely at all to have to use a potion. So it's just skipping an entire mart there, and I'll get the escape ropes that I need later. And that does give you a bit of a hint as to what my route is, getting escape ropes rather than using dig the whole game. So this is using Mew the entire game. You're not allowed to send out any other Pokemon in battle. Like, you can't switch out when he gets sand attacked. So another misplay here, accidentally using Pound on the Voltorb. I did make up for it with a crit on Coughing. So one thing that is nice about running the game at 400% speed is one thing that's nice about the rules is that you are allowed to turn on Turbo A and Turbo B. That would be nice at 100% too, but it's especially nice at 400%, so you don't have to mash super fast and destroy your hands. So it's good, but then you have to be ready to switch to regular A when you're switching moves. Only have Turbo A on when you're spamming a move. We get out of Moon without getting poisoned. We center before Misty rather than after, because we don't really care about using Mega Punches here. We're mostly going to use Bubble Beam after this, so Mega Punch PP is just it's fine either way. We get some valuable HP to help make this gym easier, and then my route also candies for Misty to make the fight faster and safer, and improve some damage ranges coming up on Nugget Bridge. This means getting an extra candy later, but it's only like 4 seconds to do that. But the main reason to center before Misty, rather than right now, after, is so that I can take this low HP and turn it into red bar for the next long section where Mew is not taking many hits. Mew's basically OHKOing everything coming up. There are like a couple favorable damage ranges, and there's a bunch of quick attacks and some mega punches that can miss. Yeah, this Eevee on Rival is like the only thing that is guaranteed to not die unless you crit. But we crit. So it's a decent time here, and we forgot to split again. It's so hard to remember to split. But now we have 24 HP, red bar is at 20.83% or lower, so we're very close to red bar, and then once we're in red bar we save about half a second every time we level up, and then about 0.16 seconds every time a Pokemon faints. There's what's called a death jingle that gets skipped when you're in red bar, and there's a lot of Pokemon that you faint here, so once we can get into red bar we're saving quite a bit of time. But it is inconsistent when you get into red bar as a result of quick attacks, and like this Nidoran female being a range, and then this Mankey where I'm going to try to get hit into red bar. He sometimes just uses that move, Lyric. So the benefit of centering before Misty and getting that low HP from Misty isn't always realized immediately, but after the quick attack gauntlet is coming up before Vermilion City, then like the fights are super easy. There's like no risk to having red bar. So we get Charmander for cut. Not going to use it for dig, so we're going to buy escape ropes later. But this is all pretty standard. We're a slightly higher level here than most runners as a result of the candies, so things like that Nidoran male are better range with Bubble Beam. We're opting to take the fastest path through this route, not fighting the Elixir Hiker and then not fighting that 4 Pokemon Hiker, because we don't need the experience, we don't need the Elixir. We're about to pick up an Ether here for Bubble Beam. Can't really skip the PP restore for Bubble Beam, but you also just don't need the Elixir when you can get the Ether right here. And we Mega Punch the Pidgey on that fight instead of Bubble Beam to save inputs. Turbo A is strong, and sometimes it means just mashing a suboptimal move rather than doing 4 extra inputs to use a slightly better move. Alright, that split was slightly late as well, it's okay. We're always going to be ahead of my 31-41 splits. So I'm going to go for a bit of red bar here, it pays off. 31-41 splits to a slightly different route, which took that Pewter Mart for antidotes, and also took Vermilion Mart before Surge, but we're still not taking any Pokemon Marts. We're not going to take any Marts until after Surge. Turbo Mash there to restore Bubble Beam. It's really nice to have Bubble Beam in slot 1 for that. And then we teach Dig because we're already in the menu, and also because while we're in red bar, we don't want to Mega Punch Raticate and miss into Hyper Fang or Hyper Fang Quick Attack. So just digging the Raticate when we're in red bar. The quick attack from Pidgey there is nice, but we still want to take more damage to have red bar all the way through level 31. So I've noticed in this upcoming section, some runners are skipping Dig, and some are getting Body Slam, and I teach Dig and skip Body Slam. There's a lot of variables with Body Slam. Like the entire run changes if you get Body Slam. But in general, I just think it's kind of slow to get because you have to do the movement a little slow to avoid the trainers there, and then the menu, you have to scroll to the bottom. And Body Slam doesn't actually save any turns, like the whole run. It just means you don't have to use Dig as much, but Dig is a pretty fast, like, half turn. Another bad mistake there, even though this time is ahead of PB, it's not a great time since we're about to level out of red bar, and I just made a lot of silly mistakes. Don't have to swap repels here. Just teach cut and go. And now the Surge fight. So I talked about some runners skipping Dig, and the problem is Mega Kick, you're dead. Thunderbolt, you're dead. Mega Punch, sometimes you're dead. Growl, he gets an extra turn. So you're dead unless you get 2 Growls. X-Speed, he gets an extra turn. Like, everything Surge does pretty much is bad. So if you don't have Dig, he gets that turn. And then if you're in Red Bar, he kills you. When you really want to be in Red Bar doesn't save as much time in Yellow as it does in Red. Blue, because it doesn't skip Pokemon Cries, it only skips Level Up Jingles and Death Jingles, but still, considering that this is the worst execution in the run coming up, you don't have to play well to get a decent time if your route is good. My execution was definitely not good, having to go back and buy repels. But my routing, I think, paid off this run. Alright, now we have the Deadly Bicycle. So yeah, you want to Red Bar this section, and then Dig does save a little bit of time. Just OHKOing Surge, and not having to get Body Slam. Now, it's very possible to have no Red Bar for this section and just get like a clean Misty fight. I didn't talk much about the Misty fight, but like you can just have a really, really easy fight if she doesn't harden or X-Defend, or if you crit. At level 20, you just 3-hit with Mega Punch, or you could 2-hit with 2 criticals. You'd be at 70 HP, and then fun fact, it's actually a little bit faster to be in Green Bar than Yellow Bar. Like 3 frames faster per battle every time your Pokemon comes out in Green Bar. Saves 3 frames over Yellow Bar. Anyway, we decided to get out of Yellow Bar and into Red Bar because the time is so bad here. And just frustrated with the mistakes. So I go for damage on Cubone, which is not consistent, because if he doesn't hit you on turn 1, then he always uses a non-attacking move turn 2. We got lucky with the Bone Club, and now we're in Red Bar for a while. We skipped that level up. Careful of Rock Tunnel with the trainers, careful to not escape rope. You can save so much time here by just practicing the movement, practicing the menus. Like, repels are going to be at the bottom, but if you can just like scroll all the way to the bottom, find repels, and then just turbo mash on repels, but only for like, I don't know, a quarter of a second, and then release turbo A so you don't use a second repel. Super fast if it works out. Anyway, coming to the end of Rock Tunnel, we get a nice quick attack to keep Red Bar. We're not going to learn Metronome. And we're not going to learn our level 40 move either. Just like we taught the Mega Punch TM and didn't have to learn Mega Punch at level 20, we're going to get the Psychic TM and teach that so we don't try to learn Psychic at level 40. It is a bit of a slow detour to get Psychic, but it's just like the perfect move for the fights coming up. That bike movement there was to avoid a 5 Pokemon optional trainer that I have hit twice on good runs. It's just so hard to do precise bike movement when you have to do a 1-tile movement at 400% speed. Okay, so now we're going to catch Doduo coming up before we get Fly. We're buying 2 Pokédolls to fill our bag so we don't get Gym Leader TMs. 2 Great Balls for that, and also because Doduo can break out, because Gen 1 catch mechanics are weird. 1 HP Doduo with a Great Ball can still break out. You can also just YOLO Ball Doduo, buy a ton of Great Balls, but I think it's quite worth it to do that, so we go for the pound. It dies to crit, which it doesn't always do, and now the second Doduo crits, so I might be dead to Eevee. Careful not to use Pokédoll, and then we do get Doduo, and there's a bit of a time save being in Red Bar for the catch, skipping the catch jingle. Alright, big time loss there, getting hit by the Cubone, it's bad movement, and second try Doduo. Now we go get Psychic, which I did not have in my route originally, but it's just so good for mid-game and allows things like Body Slam and Ice Beam to be skipped easier. I had Ice Beam for a while for Erica. It's really nice for Execute to not get Barrage, just OHKO Tangela. But this run gets a different move for Lance in Champion. It's faster. Okay, Eevee is like 1 in 4 to Quick Attack, and I think it does either 5 or 6, so I have to dodge that. Psychic is also 90% range, but we get it. If you don't have Psychic here, you have to use Dig, which is extra inputs, kind of awkward menuing, and just slow. Also a worse range on the EV than Psychic. And then all of these Ghastlies are Psychics instead of Digs. And Psychic just comes at the perfect time for PP as well, because you're out of Dig PP, you're out of Bubble Beam PP, you haven't kept Mega Punch because you needed to keep Pound to weaken Doduo. So just as every move is depleted, you can switch to Psychic and then take the heal pad to restore all of your PP. So it's very clean here, and sometimes the Psychic movement at 400% speed doesn't go well, but I think it's still worth it. Psychic makes so many fights easier and faster. We're going to use Escape Ropes for the late game, so we swap them to slot 3, slot 2 Super Repel, slot 1 Bike. We're just having our most used items at the top. This is pretty standard for speedrunning. Routes in Gen 1, because your cursor resets to the top after every battle. Still losing time here, late split. And anything that's 18 or higher on Flute means mistakes were made. But now, the big change. Silph Co, I see a lot of people using Body Slam here, or getting Earthquake and using that right away. And I see just about everybody who's competing for a low time getting Swords Dance right away. But what I figured out from timing the movement in Silph Co is that it's about 3.5 seconds faster to get Swords Dance after the fights here, because you can just take the stairs down to 7F from 11F, and then, or take the teleporter to 3F, stairs up to 7F, and then stairs up to 10F to get Earthquake, and the trainer who's blocking Earthquake disappears after you defeat Giovanni, unlike in Celadon Rocket Hideout. Silph Co, the rockets disappear after you beat the boss. So we do Silph Rival without Swords Dance, and it goes fine. That fight usually has something that goes wrong, but this time we got the Sand Attack miss, which is 25% likely. Cloister's Potion, Magneton, usually not too threatening. If you Swords Dance on Silph Rival, sometimes you just get Supersonic, and then you hit yourself for massive damage. And then Flareon has a favorable, slightly favorable range without Swords Dance, and you can also just crit Magneton. Like, it's fine without Swords Dance, and Giovanni is also completely fine without Swords Dance. Because you've got Psychic, and in this case I Thunderbolt because I had to use Psychic to kill Magneton after a low roll. And this is where my computer crashed when I was trying to do an offline post-commentary. I really hope we figure out a way to make Pokebite work on my computer, because every time I try to record and run Pokebite, my computer crashes. Alright, so you can see Swords Dance is a quick trip up here. This is faster than getting Swords Dance before Silph Rival, if you are also getting Earthquake at the same time. It's a little bit slower if you're skipping Earthquake. But I like getting Earthquake because there's a candy right there that's a couple seconds faster to get than any other candy. And then Earthquake is just going to avoid a lot of issues later, using Dig against Pokemon that can boost their defense, or use Substitute or Switch, or you could be poisoned, or there's even a situation where you can be toxic poisoned while underground, and it's just really bad. Just like this movement, really bad. So, you can do a Body Slam Dig route, but I think the only way that's justifiable is if you're grinding for a super low time and you're just going for the God Champion fight where you OHKO everything with plus 6 Body Slam and hope for no crits. It's hard to keep Body Slam till Champion without risking other fights. We're still saving our candies, because this section is pretty easy for Mew. And we need to candy before Pokemon Mansion to avoid Raticate encounters. We also needed to do Silph Co before Safari to avoid Nidoran encounters, as most people know. We get that full restore there, but probably should have skipped it, because with the route that I use, you usually just need 1 full restore for E4. Previous routes needed 2. Hey, good timing on the music here. Oh wait, this isn't the... I thought it was the Safari music, it's just the forest music. Yes, that's another unfortunate thing about 400% is that the game doesn't run properly with sound. Alright, off to Erica. Some people do Erica early, but if you do Erica later, Tangela dies to crit. You don't have any issues here, just execute slowing you down. Tangela sometimes can use Bind, and that's slow. The PP works out perfectly. You use 5 in this gym, and then 5 against Koga, the Venonat and Venomoth. 22:03 Erica, but 25 seconds behind my best time, so not good. But by doing Erica before Koga, now we can pick up the Warden candy when you go get strength from the Warden, because Erica's badge unlocks using strength, and the candy is behind a strength boulder. We've also taught Earthquake now, so we don't have to use Dig against all of these. This is one of those fights where like you can Dig or Body Slam, but there's problems. Dig is slow when they switch out, because Juggler's 1 and 4 to switch out, and you can switch out a Drowsy for another Drowsy, and Drowsy has a slow cry. It's like 2 extra seconds to use, or 2 extra seconds at 100% speed, so half a second at 400% speed, in addition to the half, or 0.7 seconds that Dig already loses over Earthquake. So yeah, just Earthquaking this gym, making up some of the time from the detour to get Earthquake, and then a clean fight against Koga. Still ahead of PB, which had a very good late game, but not happy with this run and all of the mistakes. So here's that extra candy, and we're going to use 3 candies coming up to get to a high enough level to avoid the level 43 Raticates in Silph Co. And now we teach Swords Dance. We didn't teach it before because we would have then gotten Erica's TM. We wanted to stay at 20 items, and now we need to teach Swords Dance to free up our bag to get Blizzard and the secret key in Mansion, and again we'll have 20 items for the next few gym leaders, so we skip picking up their TMs. Some people have talked about skipping Swords Dance, have fun with Blaine, have fun with Lorelei, have fun with Champion, and there are just a few fights that are really brutal, like just hard to win really without Swords Dance because you can't heal mid-fight. Okay, we're getting Blizzard, we're hoping for no Raticates here. Movement was actually good for once. And then the menu is terrible. This menu is sometimes different because if you get Eradicate, the cursor resets to the top. And there's different speedrunning routes that do different menus there, and I just got mixed up. I didn't candy Lapras, which is good, so it just makes sense to candy there, rather than wait till later to candy, for a few reasons, but mainly just because you need to empty a space in the bag for the secret key. And you just candy to 44, so you get the full value of candies to 45 and 46. Now Blaine's Arcanine, if you crit it, it's got a higher chance to die. Remember that crits ignore stat boosts, and crits do a little bit less than double damage, especially at lower levels, so crit Earthquake does less than a Swords Dance boosted Earthquake. We don't crit Arcanine, don't have to deal with that, and now we take a center. There's a couple of centers that I take here. One that I took after Silph Co, one that I take after Blaine, that are not faster than Elixiring, but they do allow you to enter some key fights at high HP, and you don't have to like pick up super potions or an extra full restore for those fights. So basically this entire run just potions once for Brock and potions once on the Elite Four, and that's standard. We do get unlucky with Kinesis here, but then lucky to not miss. Kadabra is pretty unlikely to use Kinesis. You would just go for Earthquake on Alakazam twice, hope to crit, hope to not get unlucky with Recover, but you don't have PP for that, so worked out to dodge Kinesis. And now we have full HP, so by taking the damage on Blaine and then centering and then doing the lower damage Sabrina, we've set up good HP for this section here. Now my run is 4 seconds ahead of PB right now, but my PB got like a perfect late game, so it's not likely that I can beat it unless something amazing happens. But I decided to go for something amazing here that may have actually just been optimal. I've been kind of debating doing this strat. So for Giovanni, most people use the strat where they set up once on Dugtrio, hope for no Sand Attack, because everything it does except Sand Attack is fantastic. Guard Spec being 25% likely. But then instead of going for another Swords Dance on Persian to guarantee the non-crit Oko on Persian and then the non-crit Oko on Rhydon, I just go for the 72% range on Persian, and then I go for the crit on Rhydon and I get it. So nice time save there. Rhydon doesn't die to crit Earthquake when you're set up, so it's not that efficient to set up to +4 Swords Dances. And Rhydon, when you're at full HP, is not really a threat with Earthquake or Rock Slide, and its other moves are just Fury Attack and Horn Drill, which does nothing. So really nice to get the Persian and the Rhydon at full HP. Now this fight here has a ton of variants. I used to have Ice Beam for this fight, so it was just really easy. I used to have like Ice Beam and Psychic, so like didn't have T-Bolt for Cloyster, but it was just 1 extra turn on Cloyster, and sometimes you crit it. Now I don't have an Ice move. I'm saving Blizzard for later so I can keep Psychic, and if you get good luck like I just got, that fight is super fast. Execute charges Solar Beam. You can 2-hit it with a crit or special drop or good rolls. Sandslash is not threatening. It's really, really fast, and now you get to keep Psychic for Bruno Agatha. But Execute has Stun Spore, and if he hits you with Stun Spore, you're not able to heal it, because full restores in battle are banned. X Speeds, which would correct your speed until you level up, those are also banned, so it's just a nightmare when you get Stun Spore, which is something like 25% likely, all things considered. So now, we're actually on track to PB, and taking it a little bit more cautious in Victory Road. I don't really want to talk about Victory Road, it's just always bad. Hit a trainer here multiple times, and you just have so many one-tile bike movements where you have to just tap your directional input, and then I tried to tap it 1 there, and I didn't tap it hard enough, so I pushed the boulder up, and I hate Victory Road. Never done it well. But yeah, looking ahead to the Elite Four, you'll see Lorelei, how important Swords Dance is. If you don't Swords Dance on Lorelei, then Lapras is a 3-hit, and Lapras has Hydro Pump, Blizzard, Body Slam, Confuse Ray. Jinx doesn't die, it has Lovely Kiss, and you're not allowed to heal it. Slowbro is fine, Cloyster's fine, Dugong is an extra hit. You sometimes just lose to Lorelei without Swords Dance, and same thing for Champion. And then Blaine was a lot better, and Giovanni was better with Swords Dance. With the late Swords Dance movement, it's pretty efficient to get. Yeah, everybody pretty much does this fight the same way, it's just some variant of 3 Swords Dance, either Body Slam, Dig, Earthquake, maybe Thunderbolt. Unfortunately, if I don't get the right level for Cloyster here, and this is just how it happens to work out with this route, where I level on Dugong, so I lose my special badge boost on Cloyster, and I can't OHKO with Thunderbolt, so instead I just go for the 33% Earthquake OHKO, and if you miss the range, then she usually doesn't do anything, either Super Potion or like miss a move. It's favored against Cloyster to not have any problems. Supersonic Miss is what I got this run, and that's 45% likely to miss. But Cloysters can be quite dangerous this run. You give them turns, because they have Clamp, and can drop your attack with Aurora Beam, and Lorelei and Champion's Cloysters have Ice Beam, so I try to minimize turns on Cloyster. Previous routes gave Cloysters more turns. The Body Slam route, where you just spam Body Slam on Champion, that gives Cloyster more turns on average. That one has Ice Beam. Cloyster's a very scary poke. Alright, now we teach Blizzard. So this is the big challenge with routing Mew, is like, when do you teach the move for lands? You need an Ice move or Rock Slide, and Rock Slide is risky because crit doesn't kill Gyarados or Dragonite, and the accuracy, and it's also slower to get Rock Slide than to get Blizzard, so we just get Blizzard and we just spam it, we just Turbo A, hope to not miss. But because we have Thunderbolt for Gyarados, we're at high enough HP where if we did miss once, it would be fine. And then there's just our 1 heal. Like I said, most E4s are just 1 heal. We have to Elixir here no matter what. The Body Slam route can technically skip it, but then you can run out of Blizzards, and then you have to kill this with a Dig. So we have a great moveset for Champion, which is what I was aiming for. You could do things like skip catching Doduo and have Fly for Executor on this fight, but then you don't have Bolt Beam, and so Cloyster is a nightmare. And so yeah, Blizzard is a 2-hit, Ice Beam would be a 3-hit, Earthquake for Magneton and Flareon, and the Swords Dance boost for them too. And then we crit Cloyster with Earthquake, or with a Thunderbolt. Wouldn't want to crit it with Earthquake, and then the timer for this run stops on Champion. Something like a 31-31. It might have been a 31-30, but the official tracker said 31-31. And now, this time doesn't count, that's why you don't deposit your HM friends. And the in-game time 2:05, which is the same as I got on my previous run. So this beats the previous record by a minute although some people might have not submitted their small PBs, I think this is still the fastest time, and this can definitely be beaten by, well, it could be beaten by a worse route with better execution, or it could just be beaten by a clean run of this route. But I think this run shows how you don't have to play super well. You can just do your homework and calculate your ranges and movements and figure out things like, oh, it's faster to get sword stance later, and you teach Earthquake in Safari, and then get Surf. You're at 20 items, you skip Ericus TM. Then you teach Sword Stance after Koga, and that frees up space for Blizzard and Secret Key in the Mansion. And you don't actually need Earthquake for Silph, you don't need Sword Stance in Silph, and then like Blizzard, you don't actually want to teach that early because it would mean dropping Thunderbolt and then having problems with Cloister and Gyarados, or dropping Psychic and then having problems with Bruno Agatha. So I think everything works out pretty cleanly here. I've seen people get Rock Slide, it's a slow detour, it's an inaccurate move. I've seen people get Body Slam, it doesn't save turns, it just saves animations, it's risky. I think it's just slower on average. I've seen people skip Dig, but the fastest thing you want to do in that early to mid game is Red Bar Surge, which you can't really do without Dig. Ice Beam was a part of my route originally. It's not terrible, it's just that early Psychic is better. Like, you're gonna take... There's gonna be one TM that's slow to get. It's either gonna be like Ice Beam, Psychic, or Body Slam. And I think Psychic is the best of those because it's just a really strong move with the stab, fast animation, saves super effective text in a few places. Like, it's just Mew's best move, being a Psychic type Pokemon. Anyway, I'm just gonna end here so we have a nice 40-minute video, and then I guess I'll start streaming again for Twitch if you have questions, but I want to be able to just directly export this to YouTube. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments or message me on Twitch Discord. Thanks for watching! Okay, welcome back. 400% is required. You can't go faster or slower. Those are just the rules. What other questions were there? I'm not going back to Emerald. I don't like that run anymore with the Manip. And then, yeah, we candied for Mansion, and that was it. So it's a custom starter run, but it has some different rules than the speedrun.com custom starter category. Six pickup mons in Gen 3, or which gen? Pretty cool. Alright. Platinum, cool. What else around? I think that's it then, yeah. Just this crash issues making it kind of difficult to stream or like upload to YouTube, so I'm like having to do runs offline and then do post commentary, but I can't run the tracker program during post commentary. And it's like, I don't know how I'll do these runs in the future, because if I don't use the Pokebite program that edits the encounters, then like you can't do the run. You're just getting too many unnecessary encounters. But I would certainly be fine doing the run at not 400%, that part. Like, do the same run at 100%, my viewers would probably enjoy it more. It's just I don't want to do the same run without encounters, because that is definitely a necessary feature of custom starter speedruns, is to remove early encounters. Okay. So I think the plan moving forward for me is going to be to slowly export my Twitch videos to YouTube. Starting with this one, the one that I just did before the picnic, which is still kind of like not the best layout for a YouTube video, especially since I missed some splits, but I mean it's like, it has the information in there, and the splits at least provide some visual reference for my route compared to other routes, so we're gonna just see how YouTube goes. And we talked about this on stream like a week ago, that, you know, at this point Twitch has somehow managed to outdo YouTube in terms of ethical and practical problems. So like, Twitch is here for me to stream. I can always click the go live button, but if there's any attempt to produce consistent content, I'm going to do it on YouTube now. Like, I might not have the time every month. There might be some gaps in my content creation, but anytime I do decide to stream or, you know, produce content every day, or you know, many hours in a week, I'm going to be focused on putting it on YouTube, because Twitch just isn't really functional, and I don't really support it anymore with the massive nuke of speedrunning history, and you know, you guys know what happened there. I don't want to talk more about it. It just, you know, there's a bigger YouTube community anyway when it comes to this type of content, like the challenge runs, solo runs, minuteless runs. But I'm not guaranteeing anything for that. Like, most people probably would rather see me stream on Twitch, but I encourage you all to find alternatives to Twitch, because yeah, the limiting of creators highlights to a mere 100 hours just kind of a big FU to the speedrunning community. But hello, Hedger. So if YouTube goes well enough, and I have the time, I'll kind of focus on, like, I don't know, because it's like, you know, it still makes sense to stream on Twitch and then just upload to YouTube, but I might do more things like this, where like I stream on Twitch, but I'm more focused on like the commentary for a not live audience. And it doesn't mean that I will ignore chat, it just means that I might have to take longer between answering questions so that I can, you know, talk to my future YouTube audience. It really just depends how it goes. Like, you know, I'll post this video to YouTube, I'll link it in Scott's Discord, I'll link it in my Discord, and it might get 300 views, or it might get 5,000 views, or it might get 40,000 views. Like, you just never know with YouTube. Twitch is a little more consistent, but you know, if the YouTube algorithm picks up a video, if other creators, you know, link or share a video, it can blow up, or it can at least show signs of like, demand for this type of content. And basically what I'm saying is, if my YouTube channel gets any momentum at all, then I'm basically gonna switch over from Twitch to YouTube, maybe try out YouTube streaming. It's just a better platform for speedrunners at this point, where Twitch previously was better. yeah, if you haven't seen all of the solo running content, like beating Pokemon Yellow with Mew only, Ponyta only, Caterpie only, Kingdra only, like there's all sorts of fun solo runs with better layouts than the one that I have right now that people like Scott's Thoughts and Gym Leader Matt have done, and that is just really chill content, like good length videos. You have like 40-minute fast runs, and then you also have like 4-hour streams where they do multiple runs, and then they archive the stream, and you know, it's just better like than what Twitch has at this point. If you are more into the live interaction, you know, maybe you prefer Twitch, but at this point, like again, for people who like my type of content, I would recommend exploring what's on YouTube more than continuing with Twitch, because I think YouTube gaming is actually growing. At least ever since COVID, there's a lot of like good creators out there if you're just looking for, you know, chill videos to watch or interesting challenges to watch. And there's also like a lot of them stream, and a lot of Twitch streamers simultaneously stream on YouTube, like Worster, Gunner are on YouTube, and I think that's just the direction that it's going now. So I may see you over there, and I may see you on Twitch too, but probably just hoping that YouTube works out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.